So let's have a look at the tropical system. You'll see here in the top left corner, the tropical system is 12 zodiac signs of equal 30 degrees, and signs is different to constellations. And there's kind of this nuance that you might hear about, is that signs is speaking about the areas. So this entire area, let's say of Pisces, this whole section is a sign. This is the area is a sign. So the constellation might just be this size, but the span of space is what is classified as the sign. And so this is what tropical did, was it took the night sky and it divided it equally, like you would take a cake at a party and you would cut that cake kind of equally for everybody to have the same piece of cake. But that's not what nature is like. And so this is where this wheel is fixed. It has no precession of the equinox. And truly, this is about the seasons. This is about spring to summer to autumn to winter. And so when we say it moves into 0 degrees Aries in tropical, it's speaking about the area, not the star constellation. Now, that might be a revelation to some of you, because often when we think, well, if it's in 0 degrees Aries, we would think it aligns to the constellation. That would kind of make sense. But that's where the dissonance has now happened within astrology. So let's look at the other system on the right-hand side. A system called sidereal. Now, this is 12 zodiac signs, as tropical is. This is also equal 30 degrees. So this is the same idea that the sign is the area, the 30 degrees area. But sidereal is different because it does move to the precession of the equinox. And precession of the equinox moves approximately 1 degree every 72 years, which is very ironic because, as you'll know, a lot of you will know that all of the Lost Octave work is about aligning everything into 72 as an octave of the universe. So this is great. Sidereal does move with precession of the equinox. However, it's not about the stars, but it's still about the area. And something to note is that in Vedic astrology, which is sidereal, is that they actually speak about the alignment to the autumnal star. So rather than tropical speaks about Aries, and then opposite that, at this point, this 0 degrees, the Vedic system or sidereal speaks about the 0 degrees Libra instead. So tropical speaks about 0 degrees Aries, and sidereal speaks about 0 degrees Libra. And they do that by connecting to a star. And this star is called Spica. Now, one thing that started to flag to me that was kind of odd about this is that all of my work with the star law, this star Spica is not actually in Libra, but this star Spica is in the womb of Virgo. So when I started to see this, I'm like, well, why are we saying this star is 0 degrees Libra when it's actually in the womb of Virgo? So all of a sudden now I started to see this pattern that the areas and the signs are different, and then the calibrations of 0 degrees are different, and even the star that we're using as 0 degrees Libra is not Libra at all, but Virgo. So when I started to look at all of this, I'm starting to wonder, well, what is right here? Because everything doesn't seem to add up. And so I'm going to show you this motion of the wheel of the precession of the equinox. So if you just focus on this wheel and you'll notice it move. This is the turning of the precession. Now, in the sidereal astrology, it's spoken of that the wheel has turned 24 degrees from the difference between tropical. And so now when I draw the line between the solstices and the line between the equinoxes, you can see that on the spring equinox, it is no longer Aries, but it's Pisces. And that's why we say that we are in the age of Pisces, because at the spring equinox, we look at the star constellation, and whatever star constellation is on the horizon on March the 20th is the star constellation that we are in the age. So you can see that this sidereal shifted with this precession, but even that system of equal degrees and the star it uses doesn't particularly add up. So then a third system came along. This is called true sky. And this is when NASA kind of did everyone a favor, even though it took the astrology world kind of by storm, is that NASA that uses astronomy said, by the way, there's another constellation that the sun passes through in the ecliptic, which is Ophiuchus. And so this huge wave happened of 13 zodiac signs. And then people that were in astrology saying, no, it's not a sign. There's only 12 signs. And then people saying, well, yes, it's still a constellation. And then there's this huge rupturous battle as to what is true, what is not true. But actually, they really did us a favor, because they brought us back to the acknowledgement that we've been looking at areas of space that are out of alignment rather than the constellations themselves. And so when we look at true sky, this involved 13 zodiac constellations. This also had various degrees. So it wasn't a 30-degree equal system. It was aligned to the sizes of the stars. And this means that it's not equal areas. And it also moved to the precession of the equinox. And so when I was looking at all of this, I was like, wow, maybe true sky is the system to use, because it seems to answer all of the questions, until I found some fundamental issues with that as well. So these are the three major current systems that are in use. And you can see that even though this wheel has turned, in tropical, this section is still Aries. But yet we can see from sidereal that this area in the constellations is not Aries, but it is Pisces. And so this is the discrepancy between the systems. And I really wanted to show you this firsthand so that you can see for yourself as to why I was confused and wondering, well, what is actually happening and what's true? Because what we're seeing in nature, and remembering that when we look to nature, we are looking to what is the current pulse of life. And yet, yes, it's beautiful to have astrology as a system, but if that system is not reflecting what is actually happening in nature, then we have to start to question, should we still be using that system?